Live from the Bayside Bunker, welcome to another edition of Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Roscoe, and we got a really fun one for you guys tonight as we kick off Pegasus World Cup week and cover the undercard stakes, which will be races 4 through 8 on your Gulfstream Park Saturday program. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you guys all so much for joining the show. I greatly appreciate it. If you do tune in and you enjoy what you're watching and you aren't subscribed yet, why not? You're already watching and coming back for the videos anyway. Please go down below the video player, hit the like button, and hit the subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it because not only is it the best and freest way to help out our channel, but it also pushes these videos and others on our channel out into YouTube's algorithm to hopefully bring more horse players to the HHH Racing Podcast. And of course, for that, we thank you. Scrolling on the bottom side of the screen right now is our normal podcast schedule every single week here on the HHH Racing Podcast. Every single Tuesday, normally at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, is Pacific Horseplayers, covering all things West Coast racing with Noah, Ryan, and Jackson. Of course, we are now on Tuesday tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, but of course, that is just for a schedule change. We are normally every single Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and every single Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You have Picks and Ponies with Howard, Pete, and Paul. This time they are covering the late pick 5 for Pegasus World Cup Saturday. It's a fantastic late pick 5. All stakes, of course, 3 Pegasus World Cup races. If you want those broken down in detail, keep watching this podcast, but come back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern for that. And of course, we have a very big announcement this Saturday, which is normally our Weekend Warriors show. It is for the Pegasus World Cup. It is at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having Weekend Warriors. That's our live show that covers, again, racing throughout the entire nation. But this one in particular is a very big one as it covers the last 4 races of the Pegasus World Cup. So come on by Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time and watch along with us over at Gulfstream Park. But of course, every single podcast here on the YouTube channel gets posted also in audio form, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. For all of those, if you're more of an audio listener, please go rate, review, and subscribe over there. Also, our yearly subscription, which is known as Team HHH, is still live, guys. You can still get the full year-long subscription that's over on HHHRacingPodcast.com, but time is running out. If that interests you at all, again, you get, for this subscription, you get not only every single Power Picks tip sheet that we give out on each Saturday of the year, you also get meet-specific Power Picks, including Saratoga, Keeneland Fall, and Spring, Del Mar Summer. Tons and tons of information, guys, for a very affordable price because you get a bunch of stuff included that if you just paid for it all separately, it would be a lot more. Again, all pricing, all information is all on HHHRacingPodcast.com under the drop down for Power Picks tip sheet. You'll see Team HHH right in the middle. We have a ton of new shows on the podcast that you guys should go watch. First off, of course, is our show, The Leaderboard, on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, brought to you by our good friends over at TwinSpires. Live money contest strategy. Whether you're new to contest, horse racing contest play, or a seasoned veteran, this is a very, very good show to watch because not only does it recap last week's contest, how well the winner did and exactly the plays that he did, they break it down. Also, they'll preview the upcoming races, the upcoming contests for this weekend, give you what they're thinking, break down some of the races and everything like that. If that interests you at all, tune in Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern with The Leaderboard, of course, brought to you by our good friends at TwinSpires. We also have our new show called Wire to Wire. We're 2 episodes in. It's brought to you by First Bet, talking the coast-to-coast pick 5 every single week. This one's Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Again, thanks to our friends at First Racing and Santa Anita for making this show possible. If you play the Coast to Coast Pick 5, you'll definitely want to watch this show. Of course, we also have one more show that we want to promote is Triple Crown Trail, Adelphi Racing. Episode 1 was posted. More of them will get posted. It's a taped show, so you'll want to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss all of the Kentucky Derby contenders on the Triple Crown Trail. Of course, we have TikTok and Instagram, Bettin N Boozin, at Bettin N Boozin Podcast, posting short form content over there. If that interests you, go subscribe to us over there. Again, completely free to do. Our normal power picks are over on Patreon, over 1,000 picks and still well in the profit for the last almost 5 years now. Patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast. Link is in the description And head on over to that website if you want to learn more about us or see previous editions of those power picks before you buy them. Try to get through that quick as possible. We know that's the new thing around here is we're not taking 10 minutes anymore to do that intro. 6 minutes, 5 minutes is good enough for me. Let's bring on my co-host and let's get right into the handicapping. Of course, mainstay on the channel now. Brought him in November. His does fantastic job for us from Philadelphia area. Andrew Rosinski, and filling in for Patrick Hunsel, who unfortunately is out today on personal reasons. We have my friend fill in, no rider favorite, Noah Maher, Mr. West Coast Bias. Gentlemen, Noah, thanks so much for joining us, but this is going to be a good card no matter what, not only for the late pick 5 at Pegasus, but also the sequence we're going to be covering for today.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the races on Saturday. Like I talked about on the show, I went down there for the first time and had the pleasure of spending that time with you. So, I'm looking forward to those races on Saturday. But even the ones that we're going to be talking about, not even just the late pick 5, they got some good races over there.
Yeah, Andrew, obviously two different handicap races that are always very good down at Gulfstream Park, no matter the time of year, but also turf racing, dirt racing. This sequence has it all. And again, we're not even on the biggest races of the entire day.
Yeah, I thought last week's card at Fairgrounds was going to be one of the better cards this month, but I think this one might top it.
Yeah, that like I said, there's multiple graded stakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the amount of graded stakes races. You get one early. There's 3 listed stakes, 10 stakes total on the card, guys. It's the best part of the winter, really, until we start getting into those Kentucky Derby preps. This is the day that we all look forward to in the winter. Katie, of course, was here bright and early. Terry Frank was here. Of course, Tom Espinoza, good afternoon, my friend, to you people on the West Coast. Good evening to you people everywhere else on real time, of course, not fake time like you guys on the Pacific Coast. Matt Miller, of course, my friends. Please give quick rundown of the 6 winner's circle photos we are looking at. Oh, boy. Okay. Smokin' Jay on at Arlington's my only Arlington winner's circle picture that I have. He won a maiden race out there. Of course, Smokin' Jay was the winningest horse in Crownsville racing history. Tell me on a Sunday, winning at Hawthorne. Got to give my friends at Hawthorne some love. Trafalgar Shore at Indiana, probably our second best claim ever to vote no now. That is Bubba Dreams, the first horse to ever win for me as part of the Crownsway Racing Stable. Talking Tipsy of my first stakes race win being part of the Crownsway Stable. And then Judy's Way winning at Keeneland because, of course, we have to have Keeneland on the back wall. That I hope that suffices exactly what you did. He said, yeah, all Crownsway is exactly all Crownsway. I owned one horse outside of Crownsway. He ran second at Hawthorne once and lost. I don't think he finished in the money the rest of the 10 or 11 times he ran for us. Lois Sire, thanks so much for joining the show. Greatly appreciate it. Kev, my man, salute to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Greatly appreciate it. Ralph Conti is here. Felipe Jr. Hernandez is here. Felipe, thanks so much for joining, my friend. Greatly appreciate it. Guys, let's get right into the handicapping. The races we're going to talk about start in race number 4. It's a handicap race. It's the South Beach Handicap. It is a full field of 12, which is going to be a very common thing on this day at Gulfstream Park. Of course, which is why it is so good. Full field of 12. And unfortunately, as we're covering this on Tuesday, we do not have morning lines for all the races we're going to talk about today. However, when we give our picks for the Pegasus World Cup, all 3 of those races, we're going to give our picks for those at the end. Those will have morning lines. So we will not give a deep dive to those races. That will be done Thursday's show with Picks and Ponies with Howard, Pete, and Paul. But we will give our picks and the morning lines will be available for those. But again, a full field of 12 here for this one. Bringing up our picks on the screen right now. I'm going with the number 9 for Flying, the Brazilian bred, Johnny V and Graham Motion. Noah is going with the number 8, Dancing and Dixie, Edgard Zayas and Bobby DeBona. Andrew, you're going with the number 1, Brown Sugar, Jose Ortiz and Safi Joseph Jr. Andrew, I'll let you talk first. Noah, I'll let you talk after that. Brown Sugar was a horse that actually came back after that, ran last time in the Tropical Park Oaks, also a race that we covered on this card. Was a decently long shot in that race, 16-1 in there. Got a fast pace, kind of closed past tiring horses, but now coming back second off that layoff for Safi, working very well at Palm Meadows.
Yeah, I don't know if the synthetic will be ideal for this one, but I do like the quick turn, not quick turnaround, but the turnaround from the stake to a handicap. And then you add in the fact that it's a second start with Safi, and now they're pointing this horse to a more competitive. I think it's a more competitive race in the Tropical Oaks, but I think he or she fits more in this race than she did in the Tropical Oaks. She gets the rail. She should sit off the pace. There is a ton of pace in this race, in my opinion. And those workouts have been pretty strong going into these races. I don't know exactly when it says August 19th, but I don't know exactly when Safi got this horse, but I'm assuming sometime early fall. And then that horse has just been working lights out since going to Palm Meadows, coming from the Midwest. So yeah, Safi has this horse in the right spot, and I think this could be a little bit of a price play here. I don't know how much, but I think we're probably gonna get around 5 or 6 to 1 on this horse. And yeah, I think with the pace scenario, this one sits the trip.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might even be more than that. I think it might be high singles.
Yeah, it might be.
Just because of it, she's a little slow on paper, but again, second off the layoff, now first time for her 4-year-old year. This one could definitely take a step forward out of really what was a really nice Tropical Park Oaks. For the early part of the championship meet at Gulfstream Park, obviously won by Destino Doro, who we will see later in this card. Noah, you're going with the number 8 in this race, which I mentioned was Dancing in Dixie for everyone's favorite Michael Ivarone, Jules Ivarone, Bobby DeBona, who they have a lot of their horses with, and Edgard Zayas takes the mount back after a handicap last time. Again, second to DeBona, second off a little bit of a layoff after Woodbine. This one should also be sitting on a go if you like that last race, that last handicap race.
Yeah, I've got kind of the same idea as Andrew, just a different horse. They have to fly. I mean, the 5's going to go. I would think the 2 would have to go from the inside. The 3, it looks like, according to Timeform, is going to be part of that as well. And this is just kind of your typical one-run closer, who I kind of thought was a little more involved than she prefers last time. She was kind of down on the inside second flight. She's coming out of that same common race with 4 flying, so I know you'll get a chance to mention that trip on that runner with the 9. But she's just kind of your typical one-run closer. And going into that race, she had 2 wins out of 2 starts at the Gulfstream Synthetics. So you know she can handle it. With a big strung out field, I would be a little worried that maybe she finds herself way out of it and she's going to have too much to do. But I know from some of her races that she doesn't have to be last. So I just want somebody that I know is going to have a late closing kick. And if Edgar is able to work it out, I think she's got a big shot.
And that's really why I didn't have her on top, was just because I think she's going to be pretty far back in this one. And I mentioned you guys before the show, it seemed like every horse I picked was last early last time, and that didn't work out. So we're trying to avoid that this time. But everything you said on Dancing in Dixie is completely correct. She was a lot closer than she wants to be last time out. Maybe a little bit keen in that race for Bobby, but coming back into this race, again, you mentioned likes the Tapeta. 2 out of the 3 wins in this horse's lifetime have come at this Tapeta. Probably been racing against some of the best horses in terms of running lines that anyone in this race has faced. And Edgar hops back aboard, so obviously that should be a pretty decent tip in the cap or feather in the cap, I guess you should say, for your horse. I went with 4 flying with Graham Motion. Graham Motion has had a very nice Gulfstream Championship meet so far, 5 for 13. Johnny V is back in South Florida and takes back aboard this horse. This is one that, yeah, you mentioned it, Noah, didn't have necessarily the best trip. I wouldn't say she had the worst trip by any means last time out, but was stuck in between. Again, another one that maybe not exactly where she wants to be, was a little bit, again, keen. I can bring up that race here. We'll actually show the replay. 4 flying is the 6. Your horse, Dancing in Dixie, is the 2. No, I keep forgetting we cannot show that like that on for some reason. This was in the Key West. I mentioned it before. These races are always very stout, no matter the time of year at Gulfstream, but especially in the championship meet. 4 flying was favorited that day, and you'll see her. She's in the center, or she's right here in the center in the yellow and black as I continue to push. Again, this is one from the boss man. If you guys watch, of course, Picks and Ponies, this in-between type trips are never easy for these horses. Obviously, she's not sitting in a bad spot right now, but gets shuffled back a little bit out when this horse tries to come back to the outside. We'll continue to play it here. She gets a nice run in terms of she can finally tip out in the clear air, but she's stuck in behind, finally gets to at the quarter pole. you would think she could win from here, right? And the thing is that it's not necessarily a terrible trip, but she stays on well, closing for a nice third. So with a horse that has a lot of tactical speed, I know there's a ton of speed in here. Maybe she can sit a little bit farther back, but she has that tacticalness to be closer than horses like Noah's number 8, Dancing in Dixie. And if that horse is going to get first run, I'm much more inclined to take a horse like 4 Flying rather than Dancing in Dixie. However, with all that speed, there's no saying that the 8 horse cannot come over the top and pass every single one of them. We have a bunch of different horses in for second and third, so I'll let you guys go through it real quick. Obviously, everyone has 4 Flying in there somewhere. If anyone has anything to mention extra, please feel free. If not, Andrew, you have the 11 Awesome Check in there, who, again, another one that has not tried the synthetic, but turf numbers fit completely.
Yeah, and I also kind of like Mendelssohn on synthetic. His sires or his sired babies are pretty decent over there. I don't know the exact number, but I always see them run pretty well. Or respectful numbers at least. But this one, I mean, look, it's cross-entered into a different race, so you never know if this horse is going to be here. But I mean, it's coming out of pretty tough races. It's consistently running 90s on the turf. I think she has a pace to run into, and she should be sitting in a more forward spot than some of the other closers. It just, can she convert the turf to the synthetic? And I'm not quite sure if she can, so that's why I put her into my third spot.
Yeah, and she is cross-entered into the Pegasus filly and mare turf, but she is she's the 14 on the also eligible list. So she's second there. If she doesn't get in, which again, you'd imagine she wouldn't, being second on the also eligible list, she goes in here and she easily fits in this race if she does take to the Tapeta. I have the 12 in there, a Lilac Rolla for Mike Maker. Tyler Gaffleone hops back aboard. The only thing with this horse is the post. If this horse was drawn to the inside, you could probably even see favoritism on this horse, but going that mile 70, it's just so hard to cross back over. The thing that I like about the 12 is from in this race, the 12, a Lilac Rolla, is she's just going to drop right out the back. So the post shouldn't be too much of an issue, but I just don't know. Granted, there's a lot of speed. I just don't know if she has that type of kick to come all the way from out of it and win. You can see she hasn't had a win yet, but she has that same closing kick every single time. But you can also look at who she's ran against. One of probably my favorite horse that was in training in 24 and 25 with dynamic pricing, Proctor Street, who we will see later in the card as well. And Stylish Sue came back to run a decent race last weekend, I believe, at Fairgrounds, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So Lilac Roll had been running in some really nice horses, but again, that 12 post is always an issue. And then Noah, finish it off here. I believe you have Growth Trajectory. Is that right? The Chad Brown or
Leo Toro? One of the
Leo Toro. Sorry, right there to the inside. Again, we don't have numbers, guys. I'm trying my hardest. I'm trying my hardest to keep the count in my head. This is the speed horse, Noah. So obviously, you're hoping for this one. Maybe not good enough because of the pace scenario, but just to catch a piece, drawn to the outside of the other two speeds. Again, could stay at least for third.
Yeah, and that's the key, because in such a big field like this, it's kind of bizarre that the horse that's in post 5 is kind of the fastest to the outside, which I think is going to be beneficial to her if the 2 or the 3 either want to go crazy. I don't think she is a need the lead. I know some of her better races have come on it, but it's Irad and Safi. I think she'll be able to manage otherwise. And then if they don't decide to go and she's able to be the quickest, then she's able to cross over, and then she's really going to be dangerous. So another one where she's going to be part of things up front. And I've got so many question marks about horses like the 1 and the 11 that just haven't tried the synthetic yet. And it's kind of bizarre that one race that we kind of like, Kyle, with the 8 and the 9 is kind of the one that I'm banking on being good, because at initial look, I wasn't sure that was the greatest race I've ever seen. But then I've just got so many question marks about some of the other runners. That's just how the car's laid out.
It's really it. Because, I mean, the thing is with these synthetic races, right, it's always tough for me, at least, to take these. I mean, they take these turf runners at such low prices. Obviously, in general, turf does better to translate to the synthetic rather than the dirt. However, it doesn't always work like that. I mean, we see it all the time with these really good turf horses. Like they run it like the horses that run at Churchill, and they try to run a turf way, and they just don't like the synthetic, so they have to go other places. it's just always hard for me to take a horse that's never tried synthetic before at a low price. But with a horse, again, like R8, R9, stuff like that, where that have tried the synthetic, that's my one thing that I try to look to in these handicap races at Gulfstream Park. Want to give a quick shout out to L Goldman. Never seen your name in the chat before. He likes Awesome Check as well. If she likes the Sin, talking about that same angle that I just talked about. So L Goldman, thanks so much for joining the show, man. Greatly appreciate that. In the South Beach Handicap to kick off this undercard stakes show, I'm going 9-12-6. Noah's going 8-9-5. Andrew's going 1-9-11. Guys, the next race is a pretty special one, honestly. I cannot remember off the top of my head what name of the race it was before this. If someone does know in the chat, please put it in there. Again, it's just slipping my mind at the moment. Honestly, that's a host fail. I probably should have researched that beforehand. That's on me. But they renamed this next race, race 5, the Kristoff Clement Stakes, which is honestly a very good tribute to him and good on Gulfstream Park for putting that out there again for the Kristoff Clement Stakes. It's a 1.5 miles on the turf. Fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up, and draws a full field, quote unquote, of 9 runners. Again, we won't have the morning line favorites in here, but the most likely one off that last race is the number 4 no show Sammy Joe, who Noah and I both have on top. Andrew, pulling the Charlie angle, huh? Going back to the well, my friend, with the number 6 Ramsey Pond. Irad's back aboard this horse, so that obviously could be a very good thing, but it's your turn to tell us why we're wrong and why you're going to be right, hopefully this time with Ramsey Pond.
Yeah, I'm giving this horse one more chance for now until she wins again. I mean, granted, look, she's 0 for 8 on the Gulfstream turf, but she has 6 combined seconds and thirds, and her highest buyer is her career high. I mean, she's coming off of her career high too, which means that she obviously is running good races. She's just not getting the job done. And I mean, you get a smaller field today. You get Irad back in the irons. I mean, everything screams that this horse can improve. It's just a lot of question marks. Maybe she needs Lasix. I mean, some of her best races have come with Lasix. But I don't know. There is some questions, but at a little bit of a price, I'll go back to the well one more time with this one.
Like I said, the good old Charlie angle. We like to obviously poke fun of him around here, but no, look, I get it. And this is obviously the one thing, right, that we don't know if this horse can go long. And obviously Safi sees something, Irad hops aboard, so obviously that's a good sign. Surf's Edge, Malibu Moon Mare, so obviously this horse should have the breeding to go long. Divisadero is also one that's done very well marathoning, 2 for 11 over a mile and a quarter and up in 18%, which, by the way, you know who that is that's won over a mile and a half? That's right. My man, my king, Vote No, of course, who ran fantastic last weekend. We love that. Which I'm not getting into that, but whoever's putting him on the lead, I swear to God, I'm gonna riot. But Divisaderos obviously have shown that they can run over the 1.5 miles. If Ramsey Pond can get that, there's no saying that he can't win at a price. And by he, I mean she. I will take a drink. Noah, our top pick is the number 4 no show Sammy Joe, and in the Via Borghese last time, man. Personally, I didn't have this horse on top. I wouldn't say it came out of nowhere, but this was a sparkling effort going long and coming into this race. If she runs anything like this, she looks all the goods in here.
Yeah, she crushed them last time. I mean, anytime you win a turf race, let alone when they're going 12 furlongs by almost 6 lengths, I mean, you're a pretty decisive winner in an effort like that. And you can see her at the back of the pack. I think is that the whole field in there? Yep. But yeah, she's just kind of biding her time and letting things kind of play out in front of her. And then Jorge Ruiz kind of makes a little bit of a middle move. And at that point, when he's able to kind of make that middle move and he really doesn't do much asking, at this point, it's a little bit of a question of how much is she going to win by. I mean, just a little tap on the shoulder there. And she's able to go by Venencia and Luis Proctor, who, set some pretty decent fractions. But anytime, like I said, you win like this, I mean, you're crushing that field. So she had always shown promise earlier in her career. And it kind of took her a while to really kind of take that step forward and really not idle in her career, but just kind of ran some subpar races where I expected her to run a little bit better. And, maybe this is just what she likes to do. I mean, with an effort like that was pretty dazzling, I thought.
I mean, especially you mentioned it, made the middle move, was wide throughout on the final turn. It by far her best race of her career. And she seemed to have picked something up. I mean, you can go through the distance, right? I mean, granted, this 1.5 miles in the Glen Falls yielding turf course really can draw a line through that, and the Jenny Wiley. Really, her only her 3 bad races on the screen right now. 2 of them are with soft turf, and one of them was in a grade 1 game lead, losing to Be Your Best. So not necessarily bad races to kind of, if you cross lines through those, she has a fantastic resume. And coming into this race, she looks to find exactly what she wants to do. Jorge Ruiz is back aboard, rides her Grand Motion a lot. So I could imagine her being 7-5 in this race, which is where I'd probably not bet at all. It probably not hop off her completely, but it wouldn't bet it. But if she's 2-1, something like that, 5-2 again, you could see another win bet coming from me on No Show Sammy Joe, because I think the whole race basically runs through her after those last 2 races at this point. I have the number 2 in second. Noah, you have the number 7 in here, which is, again, I'm doing my best at counting. I believe it's Arya Stark. So a horse that came out of the Nacho Correas barn after he did retire, then went into Horacio de Paz's barn. Another one that's been tested, tried and true going long, that race at Keeneland. We all watched it. We were there that weekend. Fantastic coming out party there. Not necessarily the fastest number, but followed it up with an 89 last time at Turfway. Kind of one that's on the improve, even though she's 6 years old.
Yeah, my thought with some of the horses underneath was there's about 4 or 5 other horses that ran in that race that the 4 won. And it just seems like if she's really that good, I don't see any reason why any of those would kind of turn the tables on her, which is why I kind of wanted to go to a different direction. Now, you know me, Kyle, I love the form at Turfway. And I thought that Florence at the end of December was a pretty good race. I've got the 7 in second and the 1 Speed Chopper who actually beat her last time. But I kind of thought Arya Stark did a little bit more of the heavy lifting, at least early on in that race. Hit that lead a little bit early, got run down by Speed Chopper late, but I thought, ran well. She was 2.5 clear of the 3rd place finisher that day. And like you said, she had that race at Keeneland where it was a little light on figs, but it was a small field, and she's always kind of shown that upward progression. I mean, she could have ran a 85 to 89, somewhere along those lines if she would have actually, finished off that race at Keeneland. She just kind of did what she needed to do. So Horacio de Paz obviously took her over last time because Nacho is done in the States. But I'm just hoping that was a pretty good race just in terms of quality. And like I said, if the other horses that I don't think really have much of a chance to turn the tables on those shows, Sammy Joe, what else are you really left with?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. Why take horses that you don't necessarily think can turn the tables on her? So you go with an up-and-comer instead, most likely at a decent price. So, and Ricardo obviously coming in from Oaklawn to ride here. That should be a decent show as well. Andrew, you're going with Fionn in second. Do I have her in third? No, I didn't. I didn't end up putting her in third. Fionn, obviously 3-year-old last year, was very, very impressive. She won 7 from 10 races 7 from 9 races as a 3-year-old. Now comes back into here again, maybe not even on buyers, maybe a little bit overmatched, but if anyone obviously has the biggest chance to improve in here, it's Fionn trying to take a step into her first step into her 4-year-old year.
Yeah, her numbers might be a little bit lower than No Show Sammy Joe, but I think she might be more classy than No Show Sammy Joe, if that makes sense. I think she's just coming out of tougher races. The numbers don't necessarily match that, but I think the quality of the fields do. And I think that, the layoff's definitely going to help. I think she definitely needed a little bit of break after kind of a grueling 2025 campaign. And now she comes in and she gets, not a bad field. It's a very tough field, but you get Pratt, who's on fire. You get Brad Cox, who you can never go wrong with. I mean, this horse should be ready to go. It might need a race, but it's going to be a short price, but I think this one's very live in this spot.
I'm honestly not sure. I mean, you obviously with connections, she will get bet down. I don't know how low of a price you're really going to get on her. Maybe like third, fourth choice, I think. Probably middling price, though. But your point is still there, obviously, for a 3-year-old taking her first step, again, against olders. A lot of these races you see on the screen, I mean, the Kentucky Downs race, the Oaks, the Jockey Club Oaks at Aqueduct, a lot of them, again, fighting with exact same, horses, really, the 3-year-old, stuff like that. Take her big first step into older competition. Could be the negative sign, but obviously it could be a sign if she takes a big step forward at a decent price in here. The only horse I want to talk about are the 2 horses I have. Gallant Greta, who ran behind No Show Sammy Joe last time, only one making up any type of ground. And if there is a little bit of pace up front, which in theory there should be a decent amount. Obviously, I know it's a 1.5-mile race, but there's a couple in here. Gallant Greta also has the opportunity to sit a little bit closer sometimes than a lot of these others. And I know that's running at a 1.16, but her first time at a 1.375, I know No Show Sammy Joe was about 80,000 yards clear of everybody in that race, but she was the only one making up ground late. And if that's the case, I think 1.5 miles could hit her very well, at least for an underneath opportunity. Manny Franco also coming in for this day takes the mount for Gallant Greta. An Alluring Angel, who I have in second. If the pace does not heat up in here, I think Alluring Angel has every single chance as well. Really, her only bad race on the screen right now is that Via Borghese last time, which I'm not sure what happened. She kind of really just backed up, maybe a little bit closer than she's the best at, but I know she won on the lead, beating No Show Sammy Joe, but going 1:17.1 for a 3/4. So that's not exactly the speediest 3/4 of a mile that you've ever seen, but I just think she can run a 1.375 very well, whether it's closing or on the lead, and she's going to get first run on some other horses in here, at least underneath. I think Alluring Angel can surprise at a decent price in here. In race number 5, the Kristoff Clement Stakes, I'm going 4-2-3. Noah's going 4-7-1. Andrew's going 6-5-4. Guys, moving on to the second of 2 to beat a handicaps that we have on here. I agree with Matt Miller, though. Matt Miller says a shame Miguel doesn't have a starter in here. Could have been an incredible moment. Obviously, the first running of this Kristoff Clement, regardless of winning or losing, it would have been a very emotional time for him as well. Our Stephanie, good to see you, my friend. Great card at GP on Saturday. Again, thanks so much for joining. Greatly appreciated. Matt Miller comes through. The La Proviante was what the race was named beforehand. Of course, now renamed to the Kristoff Clement Stakes. Guys, moving on to the middle leg of what we're going to be talking about. Race 6. It is the Carousel Club Handicap. It is a 1.70 miles for the males. Exactly the same race as we covered in race 4. This time for the males, and it comes with just as big of a field as last time. It comes with a full field of 12 with 1 also eligible in Uncle Charlie's gift. Uncle Chuckles is not here, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd make an Uncle Chuckles joke. But this is a full field of 12. It's a very tough race, again, to take on. I'm going with the number 6, Horsepower, which is, again, funny pun. Jose Ortiz for Joe Orseno. Noah, you're going with number 2, Bail Us Out, Edgar Zayas for Bobby DeBona. And Andrew, you're going with the number 5, Private Thoughts. Andrew, actually, no, Noah, I'll let you go first. Bail Us Out, my friend. Edgar Zayas, Bobby DeBona, as I mentioned. Bringing this up right now. Another Michael Ivorone horse. So both the Peter races, I believe, you're taking the Michael Ivorone horses. So hopefully seeing a lot of him in the winner's circle on Saturday.
Yeah, race 4 is the same connection, Zayas, DeBona, and the Ivorones. If we had a best bet, which we're kind of subbing the Pegasus picks for best bets tonight, this would probably be it. I like this horse quite a bit. Was switched over, obviously, because the Ivorones bought him from Brendan Walsh to Bobby DeBona. And it's just another one of those trips that I thought, if you watch carefully, he's another one that's just kind of in between horses. I had to wait a little longer than I thought Edgar wanted to try to go get the 4, and the 4 just got away. The 4 that day, excuse me, at Private Thoughts. I think, what is he, the 5 today, I think? Mm-hmm. And it's funny because, I did the show when Howard was there. We did a live show Saturday morning of the races with myself, Paul, and Howard, and he liked this horse quite a bit, and I like Private Thoughts. So I'm kind of going back on what I liked But bail us out. I just thought it's a trip you got to watch, because if he's able to get out and get going a little bit earlier than he did, I thought he had a chance to maybe get to Private Thoughts, if not make things pretty close in the end. So he's one I would make a pretty sizable win bet on. He's got to be a big price, but I do like him quite a bit here.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to be at least a middling price for sure. He said 2 for 2 on the Gulfstream Park Tapeta, and a lot of good Tapeta races at that run out at Woodbine. So lots of good synthetic form to fill out for bail us out. So good luck, of course, Noah, with that. And then not to be outdone, Andrew's going with the horse that you mentioned that you were going with last time and won with. Hopefully, obviously for your sake, Noah, that he doesn't beat you this time. But Andrew, obviously for your sake, you hope so.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the consistency factor here. This horse cannot do anything wrong on the synthetic at Gulfstream. Every race he's there, he's in the mix, no matter who the jockey is, no matter the distance. Even in turf, he's there. This horse is just consistent. You get Gaffleon back in the irons after just winning the race last time out. And I think this race sets up just the same as last time. I think he's going to sit the trip and he's going to have one little run at it, and he's not going to need to do much more than what he did last time. And he should be there late. And it's probably going to be odds on. I think this horse should probably be the favorite, but this is probably a single for me in this sequence. So I really like this Private Thoughts horse. And, Gaffleon's just going to do what Gaffleon does down in Florida, and that's win races.
Yeah, look, man. Hey, I love the conviction.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this horse a lot.
You're talking, look, that's what we want. We want the races where we feel the best about. And it's funny is that we're all going to feel the best about a race in this sequence in one race. So that's in all different horses. So that'll obviously look real good on Saturday. At least if one of us wins, that'll be great. If none of us win, I guess that's the whole other issue. Private Thoughts, absolutely. I have this horse in third. I believe, Noah, do you have this horse somewhere? No, you don't have this horse somewhere.
He'd definitely be fourth. I could have interchanged those four so easily here.
Well, he won for you last time, so you got to throw him out.
He's dear to the heart. That's for sure.
Yeah, he can't win 2 times in a row for you. But obviously, Private Thoughts absolutely live in this spot. Might be a lower price based on his synthetic form, but Private Thoughts absolutely one that can win this race. I went with Horsepower, guys, and this is one I actually feel very good about. This is going to be second off the layoff for Joe Arsenault. Ran last time in the Prairie Bayou Stakes behind Encino. That was kind of a merry-go-round race, so really no one was catching. Encino in there was straight to the lead with Flavian Pratt, never looking back. Marin rode him last time. I thought gave him last time. Cameo performance, obviously Otago, fantastic, of course. But these top 3 have been very, very nice horses. Of course, Encino, when he's on his best game, he's very good. And Cameo performance, same type of thing. Ran in that Colonel E.R. Bradley stakes we covered last week. Ran a good 91. That's also been a very nice listed type stakes horse in there. And if Horsepower runs his race, guys, I think he can sit mid-pack. He's shown that he can win on the Tapeta before, and not only that, on the Gulfstream Park Tapeta as well. Maybe the miles, not his best distance, which could be the only concern that I have. You can see a lot of his races on the synthetic have actually been sprinting, going 6 furlongs, 5 furlongs, and 7 furlongs at Gulfstream Park, Presque Isle, and Woodbine. But last time in the Prairie Bayou, I thought he ran very well. Just nobody was catching Encino that day. And if he takes a step forward, second off that layoff, first time into his 5-year-old year, I think Horsepower can have a very, very nice setup in here and win at a decent price, probably around 7-2 or 4-1 would be my guess. But again, a lot of us have the 4 in there. Jokestar, Noah, you and I both have this horse in second. I already mentioned Private Thoughts, and then I'll let you guys end with the 6 horse, who you guys both have in third.
Yeah, the 6 is the one you just talked about. So I don't know.
I don't know.
It was.
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
That was a really funny joke, you Jokestar. But Jokestar, yeah, I mean, you got him in second, obviously, so yeah, he makes a ton of sense. I think based off of time form numbers, you could make an argument that he's probably the horse to beat. The problem is he's another one that's going to leave himself so much work to do. I mean, he came from way out of it in the autumn and lost to Dresden Rowe, who's a pretty talented and kind of seasoned veteran up there at Woodbine. And then, he ran a 97 there, and he's got, high to mid 90 buyers in that race. So obviously, he would pretty much be odds on in a race like this. and then went a mile and a half last time and was 10 lengths out of it. So the worry is, you're only going a mile and 70, so you only got so much ground you're going to be able to make up. But you do get the likes of Pratt. Now, Pratt hopping on him, I think it's a big thing in here, because Kevin Attard, he's kind of selectively chosen horses to bring over from Woodbine. He had a couple horses that ran in the synthetic championships at Turfway and did really well, and Pratt was on some of those too. So I feel like the ones that he brings down, he really brings a point to bring down as the ones that are going to run well, and obviously Pratt's going to be able to pilot them to some success.
Yeah, obviously Kevin Attard is basically a Woodbine straight only, and you are exactly correct in that. The way I view him, he's very selective in the horses that he actually brings and continues through the season outside of Woodbine, and a lot of those are synthetic based. So when you bring these horses to the synthetic, you definitely need to pay attention. Obviously, Jokestar being one of them. My only concern with him was the pace scenario, is that he might just be too far out of it. There is some decent pace in here, but if horses like the other ones we have on top are going to get a jump on him, I'm just not so sure he's there for the win, but he'll definitely be there late. Andrew, the only other horse, that we need to mention is Prevent, I believe, right? Again, trying to do my best accounting. Johnny V, Carlos David, who's always fantastic down at Gulfstream Park, 33% so far this meet. If the pace does not heat up, this is a horse that's easily going to have the lead. He's by far the quickest out of the group, and a lot of these groups that he runs in.
Yeah, I don't really see much of a pace scenario outside of this one. So I think this one with Johnny V in the irons could easily get loose up there. Whether or not the horse can maintain it, I don't know. But with jockeys like Jaramillo that's ridden this horse before, who can get aggressive, this horse is one with, especially getting loose on a lead, maintaining the pace. I think this one could trip out with that if he breaks sharp enough. I don't think there's much speed. The 6 and 7 do have a chance to press. I just think the 3's a little quicker than them, and at 6 and 7 those jockeys like Jose and Micah Husbands, they might want to sit off the 3. You never know. Especially the way Jose's been riding at Fairgrounds. He thinks he can do nothing wrong right now, which at Fairgrounds he can't, but who knows at Gulfstream. So I'm going to take the veteran and Johnny V and hope that he gets to the wire gate, leaves the gate front, and maybe holds on at the wire.
Obviously, I think Prevent's he's the fastest out of the whole group. I think Paros, this is the 7 that Timeform showed. I always think that horse has been better with the target. So if Prevent goes out and my 6 horsepower sits right off him, obviously that would be very desirable in terms of me who likes the 6. But Prevent can always stay there. He's just one of those horses to me that if he doesn't have too easy of a lead, he gives it up decently easy. But if he does have his own way on the lead, that's definitely a horse to watch out for on the win end. In the Carousel Club handicap, guys, I'm going 6, 4, 5. Noah's going 2, 4, 6. Andrew's going 5, 3, 6. Oh, who's that 6 horse, Kyle? I don't know. It's maybe the horse you have on top. That would make sense. The next race, guys, is everybody's favorite time of the day when you don't have a $10,000 Tapeta sprint to bet on. It is the 5 furlong turf sprint that is basically mandatory in every single Bettin N Boozin episode that we cover. It is the Gulfstream Park Turf Sprint Stakes, $175,000 on the line, going the flat 5 with a full field of 12, guys. Again, I told you this would be a very common sentence spoken today, which obviously is the best case scenario when you have all these different betting choices in the race. Morning line favorite, your guess is as good as mine. A lot of good horses in this race. And it shows that we are all going with different horses on top. I'm going with the number 3, Litigation, from Mario Gutierrez and Brian Lynch. Noah, you're going with the 4 just to the outside, And You Wish. Edgard Zayas love today for you. Doro Seno does the training job. And Andrew's going with the ever consistent My Boy Prince. Andrew, I'll let you go with him. My Boy Prince, like I mentioned, a mainstay in this type of turf sprint division for a long time now. He is, I'm trying to grab him now. Again, I have to scroll through everybody. He's now 5, but even through that, I mean, he's been tried and true, running in races like the Bryant Station and the Jaipur, the 4-star Dave. He can run anywhere from a mile to 5.5 furlongs. The 1.5 miles he ran at last time is probably not included in those distances, but getting back to what he wants to do, this horse is always going to be there.
Yeah, I love the cutback here. I think this horse is going to be shot out like a rocket. Those turf works that he has coming into this field under Cassie's training, coming from Woodbine down to Florida for the winter, coming out of grade 1s and grade 2s going longer. I think 5.5 is perfect for this horse. I think that Johnny V's would get this horse out in the front early, dueling with the other leaders. I hope that there's not that many that go with him, or is as fast as him today. But yeah, I mean, if he can run like he did in the Yapper up at Saratoga, or however you pronounce that word, I think this horse can win.
Oh no, dude, we had a Noah Orchard moment, dude. No way. We let Noah call it the Orchard Stakes for an hour and a half, and then we make fun of him.
I'll say it out right away. I suck at pronouncing
the Yapper, dude. That's a new one for me for sure. Just Andrew, welcome to the family, man. You fit right in with the rest of us. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
go for it. I mean, you can finish up.
No, that's fine. Yeah, like I just think that race right there is the type of race that wins this race too. So I think if he can go back that number, I mean, he gets Johnny V over Lescano. No shade to Lescano, but Johnny V is obviously better. I think this horse can win this race with a 95, and I think that's what he should do today.
Yeah, and I agree with you completely. I just don't know. Again, this is off a layoff. That mile and a half is such a weird race to put him in. I mean, he runs well at a mile too, but he doesn't even stay through a mile. But you're talking about horses with running lines. I mean, look what this horse has lost to the last. I mean, Nation's Pride's in there, Salawi, Tawny Port, Notable Speech, Deterministic, Patches O'Houlihan, AG Bullet, rest in peace, Patches O'Houlihan, by the way. AG Bullet, Laganos, Brilliant Birdie, another top level Chuckles horse for me. Just a ton of really good competition. Obviously goes in tandem with the races that he's running in. So my boy Prince is definitely one that needs to be considered on the win end. Obviously just going to have to be ready off that little bit of a layoff. Noah, you're going with the number 4, And You Wish, as I mentioned, coming out of that Janus race last time, losing to Reef Runner, which when we looked at this race together, or looked at this card together, like very briefly last night, you were like, where's Reef Runner in this race? The fact that Reef Runner is not here is obviously a big question mark on what he's doing, but just ran behind him in the Janus, probably ran a winning race. Reef Runner just got him over the top. Very, very fast race last time. Was probably one of the only ones, him and Coppola, anywhere near the lead that finished there late.
That's exactly it. I thought he ran a pretty valiant race, and he's always kind of shown this upward progression. Just kind of looking at the time form pace trajectory, it just kind of feels like if I'm going to use horses in here, I want horses that are going to be kind of the first ones to swallow up Coppola, because I'm not exactly sure Coppola is the same horse that he used to be. And the 4 fits that bill. The 10 fits that bill. I felt very similar about those two. The problem is the 4 is probably going to be 3 times or 4 times the price of the 10. So I figured I'd take my shot. There's no chance that he's the best horse on his best day in this race. But there's no doubt that he's going to get a really good trip in here.
Yeah, and that's the thing with these 5 furlongs. Actually, Jason Hawks fan, who I haven't seen before in the chat, thanks so much for joining the show, man. Greatly appreciate it. It says 5 furlongs and 7 furlongs are such special distances. And that, Noah, that goes along with the trips that's needed to win these races. Yeah. I mean, unless probably you're someone like Reef Runner, it's so hard to win these races closing from the clouds, going this flat 5, especially if you're towards the outside. That's the number one bet. The number one no-no is being wide on the turn in these races. And my boy Prince, who's going to be a forward, and Coppola, obviously the fastest out of all of them, draws the 11 post. So that's no good for a horse like that. So And You Wish going to be right behind them, going to have first run asking. I do like that pick, honestly. You mentioned might not be the best of these horses when it's their day. However, might just be one to get that trip. So I don't mind that pick at all. And obviously you and the UNDERCARD Zayas love, you better hope he has a good day on Saturday. I'm going with Litigation for your boy Mario Gutierrez. This horse last time just a little bit farther back than he wants to be. I know he hasn't run at a flat 5, which kind of goes exactly what I just said against exactly what I just said. But I think this horse wants to sit a little bit. If he sits a little bit closer, somewhere in that 3 path, again, he broke from the 6 last time, breaks from the 3 this time. I think he can get a really nice pocket type trip in here, maybe 4th or 5th early. And if that's the case, he's going to have not only pace in front of him to run into, but a jump on the rest of the field in the flat 5 that it's very hard to close from, especially at Gulfstream Park. I really like the trip litigation. I know I talk about it all the time that I don't like these races to bet on, but this is honestly a very good bet candidate for me in this race is litigation because of how good I think he can be on this quick flat 5, or at least with the trip that he's going to get. Mario Gutierrez has ridden these races very, very well for Brian Lynch. Brian Lynch is 33% on the win end. Again, my only concern about him is that if he does get too far back again, like he did last time on the flat 5, but if he sits how he normally does, going the 5.5, and those are not slow 5.5 fractions by any means. A 21-2 or 21-1 at Keeneland is very, very fast. So if he can sit only 3.5 or 4 lengths back there, I'm very excited to see what he can do here at Gulfstream Park on the flat 5. Would love if he can be somewhere 4th, 5th, or 6th, somewhere in that range. Going to our underneath picks here in this race. Noah, you also have litigation and my boy Prince. Andrew, you have the number 6 in here. Oh gosh, it is Encanto,
yeah.
which Peter Erden brings this one out from the West Coast. So obviously, Noah, if you have anything you want to say on him, feel free to bring that up. Gets Pratt aboard on this one as well.
Yeah, I like this horse a lot. This horse has experience at Gulfstream before, under the likes of Sisterson and D'Angelo. But once this horse went out with Erden, I think this horse took a step forward, especially at this 5 furlong distance on the turf. Second off a layoff, brings this horse back East Coast after a pretty good second to fly over, in an optional claiming where where they went really fast, 22-4, and then 45 in the half. And they really sped it up as the race kept going on. This horse dueled the whole way around. I think this one has a chance to trip out here. I think it's going to be a little bit of a price, and you get Pratt in the irons. All things seem to be favorable in my book when it comes to my things I check off on my checklist for horses I like underneath, and this one fits the criteria for me.
Obviously, a horse that you're very familiar with now on the West Coast. Been running in these types of listed stakes out there. Not always on the win end, running very well, but a couple seconds in there with Hector Barrios aboard, in my opinion, and I know you feel the same way, of the best turf jockey out on the West Coast. This is one that's always been there and has run very well at the flat 5.
Yeah, he's probably a little light on figs, but I'm not going to be surprised if a 15-1 shot plus wins this race. I'm just trying to price shop. The one thing I'll mention is litigation had a little trouble in that last race.
Yep.
The problem is it was so obvious that I think people are just going to go bananas for him. So you're going to get a bit of a shorter price than you would like, Kyle, which I know typically happens to you on occasion. So I'm trying to get a price in a race like this.
Yeah, I just like everyone else, what everyone else likes. That's the way it goes. We follow the money around here, apparently. Kadam is the only other horse I want to mention, guys. Charlie Hills ran in the Hong Kong Sprint against the greatest horse in the world right now in Kai Ying Rising. Not winning that, and obviously 146-1 reflects that as well, but has run very, very well in the States. I think he's better going longer, but if the pace does heat up, he's going to be the one running late, and he's very, very good when he is running late. However, again, just not sure that the flat 5 is going to necessarily benefit him the most at Gulfstream Park. In the Gulfstream Park Turf Sprint Stakes, I'm going 3-2-10. Noah's going 4-3-10. Andrew's going 10-6-3, guys. And James, my friend, that's why you're so astute. That's why you watch this show. Smash that like button, guys. If you guys are enjoying this podcast and you want to show that you guys are enjoying it, just the like button takes 2 seconds. It's completely free to do. But again, it shows us that you guys are enjoying this content and we want to keep bringing it to you guys. So if you are enjoying the podcast right now, I see we have a bunch of new viewers in the chat. Hit the like button, but also hit the subscribe button down there so you never miss. We do this 52 weeks out of the year. Horse racing never sleeps. So please come give us a like and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it, guys. Honestly, one of the biggest matchups of the entire day is the next race. And thank you, Tom Vespinoza, my friend. It's smashed, and I hope everyone else smashed it after that brilliant speech that I just gave about it. The Fred W. Hooper, guys, brings a very, very nice matchup between two horses in this race. It's 175 going the one-turn mile for older males, field of 9, and the matchup I mentioned is the number 1, Life and Times, who's been very, very sharp, and the number 6, Knightsbridge. Junior Alvarado and Bill Mott. Let's see who we are going with here in this one. Oh, Andrew, my friend, going a little bit against the grain with the number 5 tour player, Castellano and Whitworth Beckman. I'm going with Knightsbridge. Noah, you're going with Life and Time. So obviously we're taking either side of that aforementioned duel between the two horses. But Andrew, I got to let you talk first, my friend, because you are going completely against it here, but with a horse who's won 4 of his last 5.
Yeah, I don't understand the barn switches with this horse. I don't know the history behind all that, but I love the workouts that this horse has coming into this race. And not just that, but I think if there's anybody that's going to really have a good turn of foot late, it's this horse. There's a potential pace duel going on here between the two favorites. And if they duel, granted, they're both pretty classy horses and they should be able to hold on and withstand the duel and the pressure. But I mean, why not take a tour player underneath at probably double the odds of those two horses, if not triple? And you're getting Javier Castellano over Florent Giroux, who that's a huge upgrade in my opinion. And I think we all can agree on that. But yeah, this horse has numbers that can not win on paper, but compete if one of these other horses doesn't fire. And I mean, based off the workouts at Payson, I think this horse is ready to go. And why not take a shot?
On the jockey comment, I plead the 5th on that one, my friend. You guys, if you guys watch this show, you know how I feel about what he just said. Tour player guy. I mean, look, that's definitely one. Noah, that's kind of how I felt about Nelson Avenue. Was just the one horse that if the pace heats up between them, it seems like the most obvious one, but still the one I think that can pick up the pieces late. But it's gonna be you versus me, my friend. Apparently, Life and Times. A horse that got started very late into his 4-year-old year, which is very rare nowadays, not only for horses just in general, but for the Todd Pletcher barn especially. But let me tell you what, this horse has been unbelievable in his first 2 starts. Obviously showing it also in the mornings down at Palm Beach Downs. Should get the lead from the inside, and obviously it'll be a very nice, in theory, will be a very nice throwdown between him and Knightsbridge.
Yeah, I think he's legit. I thought his last race where he blew the doors off that field at Aqueduct was pretty jaw-dropping, and it just seems like it's very unlike Pletcher to put him in a spot like this in his 3rd career start, if he didn't think he was the goods. I mean, you would maybe expect some trainers to do some similar moves, but I feel like Pletcher would kind of be the last guy to do that. And he's probably going to be on the lead. I don't think Junior's going to be hell-bent on trying to press him. I think it'll be close, but I think Lescano's probably going to be able to kind of dictate things up front as he pleases. And if he's able to, I just think he's a better horse than the Mount Runner.
Yeah, I mean, look, I completely agree with that. I do think he's legit. And my point is that it's going to be that throwdown between those two. I just like that Knightsbridge is drawn outside of him. I feel like if either or was drawn to the outside, I would like them more. Just based on the draw. But if he is legit, Noah, and he wins off by 4 lengths again, I would not be completely out of the, I wouldn't be blown out of the water by any means, because Knightsbridge has the tendency to do both, to win by 1 million and lose races that he has no business losing, i.e. that February 15th race at Gulfstream Park. This is one that's been so ouchy in his career. He's been off, he's been on. Obviously, you see he made the maiden win and debut on Breeders' Cup week for 2023. He looked like the next big thing. Obviously came back in the championship meet 4 months later, almost 5 months later after that, wins by 9. Then you think he's the next big thing. Gets put in the Perryville 6 months after that, or it's almost 7 months after that. Where's this horse been? Then you don't see him again for another 5 months. Then you don't see him again for another 9 months. It's been a very interesting way of life for Knightsbridge over the past couple of years, but he's finally getting into a consistent schedule, and both of these wins this year have been very, very impressive. Going 7, granted, not going a mile, which could be the one hurt to him, but the Nyquist Bernardini breedings never suggest that this horse doesn't want longer than 7 furlongs. Obviously, best race of his entire career came in the Prospector. Mr. Prospector, completely weaker field and nothing like Life is Time in that race, but point still stands that if he's going to be outside pressing, he's done that before. He's done it well before. I do like Knightsbridge in this race, although, again, maybe a little bit untested, but you could easily say the same thing for number one, Life and Times. Really hasn't faced anyone in his career. I know that was a nice allowance field last time out, but obviously facing someone like Knightsbridge and even Nelson Avenue, for that fact, is going to be a completely different animal. No pun intended. Nelson Avenue, Noah, is the one horse I think that if the pace does heat up between them two, going to be right behind them and pick up the pieces. Is he good enough to beat them two? Probably not, but if he trips out completely, if he wins, I wouldn't be completely surprised by any means. But that means that something had to go pretty wrong between those two up front, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's drawn furthest to the outside, so we can kind of let those two go. And he's probably the third likeliest winner, I would think.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed by his race at Parks, and matter of fact, he actually beat me in Andrew's neck of the woods. So I was a little frustrated that day because I was alive to a pretty big double, I think, to Coastal Mission, who ran fine, but I was a little disappointed that day. And then backed it up again in a good race in the 49er, and Bishop's Bay was one that we thought we might have seen a couple of races after this. Didn't end up going to that race, but is obviously a very talented kind of classic runner-ish type miler for Cox. So, I mean, no shame in losing that race. I think this is kind of a really good spot for him because he's very likely to finish second, like if those two go at it. And he's just kind of talented in his own right, maybe a little step below, but good spot for him, I thought.
I mean, that's exactly what I thought. I mean, especially from a connection standpoint.
Yeah. For
him, you're ecstatic almost. You might not be ecstatic, obviously, in the winning end, but getting that type of run on those two horses, at least a very good opportunity to finish third, if not second, if it comes down to it. In the Fred W. Hooper, I'm going 691, the old funny number, as some would say. Noah's going 193, Andrew's going 561. Guys, that's going to be the end of the races we cover in depth on this show. Again, if you want the late pick 5 covered for Pegasus, come back here to the HHH Racing Podcast YouTube channel or audio platforms on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and watch Howard, Pete, and Paul dissect the late pick 5, including all 3 Pegasus races. However, we're going to give our picks, again, very brief, guys, probably 15, 20 seconds maximum. Just our top picks will be given, guys, but I know a bunch of us have a little bit of good opinions in here. I'll put the morning lines up on the screen. I'll let Andrew, you talk about it first. Then Noah, I'll let you talk about it second, and then I'll round out the round table as usual. The Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf, guys, is on the screen right now. The morning line favorite is a very light one in the number 7, Whiskey Decision at 9-2. I'm seeing this for the first time now, guys. I cannot believe Proctor Street is 12-1, which Noah, Andrew, and I are both going with. That's crazy, in my opinion. Noah, you're going with the number 6, Caitlin and Her Greatness. Andrew, obviously, actually, no, I'll let you talk first on this one because Andrew and I have the same horse. But Caitlin and Her Greatness, one of those that's been tried and tested, but never taking that big step. But obviously, this could be the time.
Yeah, and I mentioned Kevin Attard, and he's got some particular horses that he's always brought down here and thought highly of, and this is one of them. I mean, she was a winner in a race at Turfway not too long ago. A little worried that the configuration is maybe not what she prefers, but there's no doubt that she's got numbers, especially on the turf. I know she's a bit of a synthetic specialist, but she's got numbers on turf that fit with this field. So I think 8-1 is a fair price.
Yeah, I definitely agree. 8-1 is definitely a fair price. Andrew, I can't believe we're getting 12-1 on this horse, but if that's the case, I mean, unspeakable things, my friend.
Yeah, if this horse is anything over 8-1, I might be betting with both hands. Like this horse, this is one of my favorite plays of the day. I love this horse. This horse is one of my favorite horses in turf racing in general in the States right now, boys or girls. Brendan Walsh and Tyler Gaffleon, they don't miss. They always run good. This is one of the better horses that Walsh has. Yeah, I think 12-1 would be a gift, a late Christmas gift, honestly, if we could.
I get it. Like, Whiskey Decisions, Pratt, Chad Brown, but that horse being 9-2 and I don't understand what the big difference is between them. Where Whiskey Decision is 2.5 times less than Proctor Street. That's what I don't understand. But obviously, if we get that price, I'll be ecstatic because that is one of the horses I will be playing on Saturday. The Pegasus World Cup Turf, guys, is on the screen right now. You can see it on right now. Excuse me. The morning line favorite is Program Trading, Noah, who you and I actually are both going with as well. Andrew's going with the number 11 Astronomer at 15-1. So obviously, Andrew, you're going price shopping in what seems like 2 races in a row.
Yeah, not to be spoilers, but it's going to be all 3 of the Pegasus races. I think I'm going to have a price in. But yeah, no, I really like Astronomer. Jose Ortiz, Simon Callahan, great connections. This horse coming out of the San Gabriel, which just missed the Cabo Spirit. I think Cabo Spirit's going to have a little bit more pace pressure, so he's not going to be able to do what he did that time. And I think Astronomer is going to be able to get the trip. And sure, a horse hasn't won in 2 years, but the horse is always there and in big races. So, you know, I'll take a shot with arguably the hottest jockey in the country right now in Jose Ortiz.
Yeah, and I guess the thing is, right, Andrew, is, you know, you're not willing to trust those non-winners for 2 years at 2-1, 5-2, but at 15-1, that's something that you can take a shot with to try and take that breakthrough trip. Noah, we're both going with Program Trading. Obviously, this might seem like a little bit of a cop-out, I guess, but I've always been a big fan of his, and I know it's coming off a layoff, and it's Chad Brown at Gulfstream Park, but you and I, when we talk about it, it's a completely different day this day as opposed to normal Chad Brown at Gulfstream. Obviously, Chad runs a lot at Tampa, but these big days, he means business as always, especially with these turf races, and Program Trading is probably one of his best when he's on his game.
Yeah, if he's on his game, I think some of the other horses are going to be running for second. I mean, he's got some big figs and some big efforts to go back on. And I think his main rivals in the 10 Cugino and the 12 Fort Washington drew awful posts, whereas he gets to ride the rail with Pratt. I mean, things couldn't set up better for him. He'd be one where I'd consider him for the IWW Cup.
Ooh, yes, that's what I was gonna do. We're so on
consideration.
They said his last practice street is 12-1, which there's no way he is, but I completely agree with you. This might be an IWW, maybe with a little bit of a double into this next race, guys. The 13th race on the card is the 2026 running of the Pegasus World Cup on the screen right now, and a very heavy morning line favorite in terms of this race. 8-5 on the number 1 Disco Time. Very, very talented horse at 8-5. Second choice is to the outside, the number 11, the filly and mare turf specialist in White Abario. If you guys don't know this show, that's a fantastic joke that goes on every single year around this time of year. And I'm the only one that's going with Disco Time. Obviously, I know it's going with the morning line favorite, but I'm not getting cute in here, guys. Disco Time really seems like the goods, and if he gets out to the lead, I think he will. Everyone's could be running for second. Andrew, you're going with the number 4 Banishing in here, which honestly is one of the coolest horses in training, in my opinion. Always is every year. Can run anywhere from 5.5 to 1 1/8 miles. Obviously, the 1 1/8 miles is the tested distance here, but 20-1 again, looking to try and catch a price.
Yeah, I mean, look, I seen some things on Twitter, and they were like, "Why is this horse training at the little private track down there for Jacobson and whatnot over in Arkansas?" And I think that's a little bit interesting move. And at 20-1, I'll take my chances. Another one with Jose Ortiz at 20-1 in these big races, and you never know. So I think if the favorite somehow doesn't run its race, I mean, I think the favorite could probably win this race, as they say, with 3 legs. This horse is, I mean, the favorite's tough. But I'm not going to take an 8-5 morning line, who's probably going to be 3-5 from the rail in a big race like this. So I'll take a shot with Banishing.
Yeah, look, again, I'm just not trying to not get cute, but if you're trying to take a shot against him, I don't hate it by any means. Obviously, Noah, you're going with the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner that took us, grabbed us, and threw us off a bridge that day. Obviously, hoping for you that's not the case this time. You can catch a little bit of a price with him.
Yeah, he's gonna have to take all the other speed and throw it away from him, but he might be the speed. I actually just watched his work on XBTV, and he looks really good. And the worry is the 9 furlongs with him, but it just feels like if anyone's gonna get 9 furlongs, it's gonna be on that GP dirt course. So give me him at a price.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, 15-1, or 12-1 on Full Serrano, 21 on Banishing for my 2 co-hosts. 8-5, probably 3-5 with disco time for me. And knowing me, disco time, I don't know, he won't beat this, but obviously this will be the horse that'll go up in price somehow. And every other horse in the card that I like will probably get bet down to 2-1, which is normally how it goes for us. Andrew already mentioned, I'll just go through it, guys. We kind of talked about them already on the podcast. We're going also a little bit over time. Bunch of people watching throughout the entire card. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Andrew mentioned his best bet, race number 5, a win on number 6. Ramsey Pond going the Charlie way, trying to catch a price with a horse that he tried to bet before and lost. So hopefully you can get that one done, Andrew, with Ramsey Pond. Noah mentioned win on the number 2, Bail Us Out. Obviously, he also mentioned the IWW, for those that don't know, the irresponsible wager of the week with the number 2 program trading, if you get 5-2 on that one. But as he mentioned, number 2, Bail Us Out. And the 2 horses I wanted to bet today were the number 6, Horsepower in race 6, which is that second handicap for the males, and a win on number 8, Proctor Street. Probably will place a bet on the win on the number 12, win in the race 12 on the number 2 program trading. Probably play a double with disco time because that makes all the sense in the world. But lots and lots of different ways that you can bet on what has been a fantastic edition of the Pegasus World Cup card this year for Saturday, January 24th. So, guys, thank you guys all so much for watching. Noah, Andrew, as always, thank you always for joining me. Noah, welcome back to Bettin N Boozin, of course. For those that don't know, he also runs every single Tuesday with Pacific Horseplayers, which will be right after this podcast at 9:30. So, man's got to get going. Yep. I know we went a little bit over, but I wanted to give, again, a very good card. It's doing, and you can see it's Powered's putting in the chat right now. Picks and Ponies is tomorrow, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern with guest of FanDuel TV. Anthony Pascal will be a fantastic addition. For those that want the late pick 5 of the card that we covered tonight, come on by tomorrow, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. My apologies for earlier in the show. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, or watch as a replay, of course, as always. And the only show Thursday as after the Eclipse Awards, wire to wire, 9:30 p.m., of course, sponsored by First Racing and Santa Anita, covering the Coast to Coast pick 5 for Saturday. Guys, it's been an absolutely fantastic episode. Lots and tons of viewership, the whole card. We greatly appreciate it. Again, if you enjoyed it, down below the video player, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it. For my co-hosts, Noah Maher and Andrew Rosinski, this has been your host, Kyle Roscoe, in episode 165 of Bettin N Boozin on the HHH Racing Podcast, covering the all stakes undercard for the Pegasus World Cup day of 2026. And until next time, everybody, crush those bets, win those photos, and stay safe, everyone. We'll see you in the next one, or see you at 9:30 p.m. for Pacific Horseplayers right after this show. And until next time, everyone, good night.